Hi, happy Wednesday, everyone. Thank you for coming back to my channel. This week we will be reviewing Colson Whitehead's The Nickel Boys. Before we get into it, please like, share, subscribe, and engage with my channel as I am building it out. I appreciate you for spending some of your Wednesday going with my. See ya. This book is considered a historical fiction and it is set in the Jim Crow South. There is some materials in here that is hard to read through as there is difficulty, there's abuse, there is a lot of mistreatment of the boys in this facility. So as a disclaimer, take care of yourselves. It can be hard to read through in that space. The Nickel Boys was inspired by a real-life reformatory school set in Florida, which is where our story is set in. Our main characters is Elwood and Turner, but we are introduced to Elwood. Elwood is a good, kind-hearted kid, smart. He is left in the care of his grandmother as unfortunately his parents are not in his life. His grandmother works for a hotel, which he would spend some of his time, most of his time as a child there. Until he grew up and they kind of took advantage of his kind-heartedness, and after that he was like, nah, y'all not gonna get me. But he finds a job at like a gas station / convenience store, and his kind-heartedness is very much like, half of my pay I'm going to give to my grandma, half of my pay I'm going to save for my college, because that is his goal. And you can tell like he doesn't remember like how that got into his head, but he's like, I'm going to college. And I can resonate with that as someone who knew they were going off to college in the 7th grade. Didn't know what I was going to study, but I was like, I'm going to school. That's the key to get out of this. I'm going there. So he is also very heavily inspired by Martin Luther King, as he gets a record of his speeches for Christmas. And that is like the trajectory of like his mentor, his idol, and really how he really believes in the nonviolence, civil disobedience movement of MLK, which is at his core who he is when he is at the facility. So a teacher takes notice that he is very, very a good student and lets him know like there is an ability for him to sign up for college prep courses. And so he catches a ride with someone he knows. And unfortunately, this is the Jim Crow South. And they get pulled over and they are told that the car is stolen. And the way Colson writes is like, could it just be a stronghold force of the police? But Jim Crow South, not really a trial, and he's sent to the Nickel Academy, where his whole entire life is completely shifted. This one mistake, and not even mistake, because not like he went in there with this knowledge, really changes the trajectory for Elwood's life. And that's where he meets Turner, who does not share his similar ideals, kind of looks at Elwood as not necessarily a chump, but like an idealist. Like, that's not how the world works. You talking about civil disobedience, sometimes you gotta beat people's asses, and also a different sense of life, right? Different type of upbringing. So very much they meet this dynamic duo kind of gets together, and Turner's kind of like trying to keep him alive and kind of like show him the ropes and take him under his wing as like, hey, if you want to survive this place, this is what's going on. So this book is set in present day and back day. And the reason why we even get introduced to the Nickel Academy is because there are some archaeological students from the University of Florida, or South Florida, I believe, because it's in Tallahassee where it takes place, are looking through the land, and they find the remains of people. And of course, there's a commercial developer who wanted to do something with that land. So because these human remains are coming out, their stories coming out. Well, this story is kind of like presented in that way. So that's kind of like how we are introduced to this space. And overall, it is a super quick read. I got through this in about 2 to 3 days, and it was really, really easy to get through, but hard to digest, because you are digesting content of the Jim Crow South and the difficulties that Black people face, specifically young Black men face, those hardships, that conversation. I do appreciate that there is not a lot of time spent about Nickel Academy, because I don't think I could stomach the descriptions of that type of abuse, similar to like kind of the Word When They See Us movie of Netflix. Like that's kind of like a one and done for me. I appreciate learning about Elwood's life prior to Nickel Academy, and that's where most of the book is spent. And then the aftermath of everything. This is a spoiler-free review, so I want to make sure you go out and read it. So I do appreciate getting to know Elwood, who he was, that he is humanized in that way, because I think reading about so much of what would be going on in the academy, it would be really hard to get through for me. So I do appreciate, like, again, recognizing the humanity in Elwood. There is also this, skipping over a major like non-spoiler, but in the future there is this real life website that's in the book that's correlated to the real life academy that the book inspired, that has survivors, and I don't want to call them alumni because they are survivors of this space that like pretty much tells their story in that space. So I thought that that was a really like neat tidbit to really put in. But overall, I give this book a 4-star rating. If you are looking for something to get you back into reading and you want to like get into it, it's less than like 200 pages. You can get in. Like I said, the content of it is kind of hard to digest, because even without the in your face, this is what happened at this space, isn't being talked about, you can use your imagination. If you know enough about the civil rights era, Jim Crow era, you know enough to what was done and not done and what type of rights weren't given during that time frame. I definitely would recommend this read, and I want to actually read his other book, which is The Underground Railroad. Again, I love when I am introduced to an author and I'm able to just go back to something that they wrote prior. So I will be checking that out as well. Specifically if it's that same writing style, which is, it leaves you with like, you know what this is, right? Like, I don't need to spell this out for you. Like, you have a mind to recognize what's going on in this era, and this is what's going on. So I really did appreciate like not being like trauma porn bombarded within this book. So as always, thank you for spending some of your Wednesday con Wilma. Please, 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 I purchased this book. I also have my library card. Please apply for your library card. You can do it online in some counties, and in some states it's super easy. But as always, read what entertains you, and you will find yourself enjoying to read. Please, please, please pick up a book. If it's one of my recommendations, I would be delighted. Let me know if you picked up the book and if you started reading. I would definitely appreciate it. But overall, read what entertains you and you'll find yourself reading. Till next week, guys.